Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Trends. Of course, welcome to your favorite podcast show when we bring you all the amazing topics, all that is happening, hip and happening. My name is Nakale as usual, and I'm joined again in the studio. It's against my will, but what can I say? I'm joined again in the studio by the amazing Ife. Ife, say hello to the people.
Hi, welcome to
Today you're not on
show.
purple hair.
Yes, so
It's
that
giving
means I'll
gold.
become
Okay. Oh, okay.
collected.
So there's a song that says, "I'm not my hair," but you are clearly your hair.
Yes.
Your hair dictates the mood.
The mood, yes,
so
the
today you're
energy,
chill.
yeah.
No You're not going
Chill.
to stress me. You're not going to give me trouble.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm taking you by a word. But I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone who is watching currently. Big shout out to you. Thank you guys for always keeping it real 100. I
Yeah.
would like to send big massive shout out and love. You know, the last video we did, we spoke about firstborns
Firstborn
and the
struggles.
unique struggles that they have to go through, and we saw a lot of people in the comment section, you know, that could relate to that reality. And I think we should read a few of those comments, you know.
Yes.
This is from Robina Brown 9077 says, "I'm the first child. It's a lot. It's like no one cares about you and your feelings are never valid. I'm doing my best not to burden my first child. I'm trying my best to let her enjoy her childhood as mine was taken from me." My God. I mean, this is
so
just so
sad.
touching, and
Yes.
it's beautiful to see that you know, people can relate to some of these things. And you know, for this person, when I saw this comment, I was deeply moved, because a number of things came to heart. Number one, I understand the struggles, well, not because I've been there, but because I have interacted with people that have been there, so I can understand the struggles of. And I want to give big shout outs and kudos to this person for insisting that ends with her.
With her,
You know,
yes.
she's not passing it down, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and I like to give big shout out. And yes, like we said on the show, our heart goes out to you. We are praying for you, and it can only get better. You know, it can only get better. I think another comment that I saw says, "Thanks for bringing this topic to light." This is from Lillian, online business owner. "Thanks for bringing this topic to light. I am a firstborn, and honestly, it doesn't get better." Says you have you just have to refocus and discover you at some point. "My father was a firstborn, and I believe strongly that the responsibility, amongst many other things, cost his life. I've decided that it's not going to be me. I love my siblings to pieces, but I will also have to love myself too. The society really does need to change this narrative. If people are not ready to parent, don't have kids. And this is so deep. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so touching, especially the part where she talked about it being one of the reasons that
She
her
lost
dad
her
died.
and all that.
So I can just feel the pain. And what she said at the last part, that the society really does need to change the
Yes.
narrative. If people are not ready to parent, don't have kids.
And I think this is a general phenomenon, but I think it's more African, in the sense that within the African climb, that's where you have a lot of, you know, we have families where people have to step up because of the situation of the economy and all of that. Sometimes someone who ought to be a child, or a child, is expected to grow up quickly and contribute to the welfare of the house.
But I think even more than the struggles, the economy, I think it's just a narrative that we have, this mindset that since you are the first kid, I've been able to raise you up, you should be able to take care of your younger ones. So you hear them telling the firstborn, like, you are older, you shouldn't be doing this. And I think I watched one video where the dad came back from work and the children ran to meet the father. So the first one, I will say is the first one because it looks taller than the rest and more matured, but they are all still kids. So all three or two, they ran to meet the father, but the boy had to stay back for the younger ones, even though he got to the father first, but he had to stay back for the father, carry the child and everything. And after, the father now carried in, and I'm like, this is it. Like, this is where it starts from.
It's so, I mean, this thing is enshrined in our nature, really, sometimes, because the moment there is let's say a 3-year-old child that now has a younger sibling.
Yes,
so let's say there's a
focus
3-year-old
shift.
child and there's a 1-year-old child, and the 3-year-old child is just being a child, and mommy, give me this, give me. The next statement you hear is, don't you know you have a younger sister now? Don't you know you have a younger brother now? So usually there's that undue expectation, and I know, like I said, my heart really goes out to all firstborns, because I think that it's not been said enough, the struggles that they have to go through, the standards that they have to maintain, the expectations they have to reach. I mean, really, their childhood usually, if not care is not taken, is usually taken most from them. You know, I'll just read a few more comments and then we get into today's conversation. Today's conversation is super exciting, and I'm excited for it. Earl Christie says, we are both lastborns. That explains my kindred spirit feeling with you.
Hey, that's my people.
I'm marking my people, I'm my coming person. For you this year, Earl Christie. All right, big shout out to you, Earl Christie. Miriam Osene says, I'm the firstborn in my family and I can relate with this topic. I'm like the lamb that was slain. My God. Says, I took all the bullets in my time. Now my younger ones can get away with a lot of things and I'm like a mother to them. You know, this one is a whole different thing. When you're saying something that you can bet your bottom dollar that this child is about to get it, and before you know, there's leniency and you're like, in my time, I know I can't.
I dare not try this. You know, so I'll be taking this comment from Konya La Vogue 5510. This subtle parentization had made me had to relearn how to love in romantic relationship, because the only way I had been programmed to show love was to be a mommy and protective, and men hate this thing. They want a partner, not another mother. So she said, which came off as overbearing to most men. Now I intentionally beg God not to give me a firstborn as a husband, because I am already one.
You know. So now this thing that she just said is a very serious matter, because as a firstborn and someone that had to, rise up to the occasion, take responsibility and all that. As you mature, even as you begin to get into romantic relationships, you import that idea, because to you the idea of love that is the parental idea. So you don't even understand. You don't understand romantic love without parenting,
being protective, taking care, being overbearing.
You get, and it can be, and like you said, truly, men don't like that. I speak as a man. You see, it's okay, you can be caring and all that, but don't come and become a mom. A man will live with father and mother, and he's not supposed to cleave to his mother again. You get, so it can be a lot. And usually a lot of unlearning, and this is for maybe you're a firstborn and you're watching this and you're wondering, maybe you're still in this conundrum, wondering how to get out. You need to, a lot of unlearning needs to go on, because you need to unlearn some of the ideas you have been taught or that life has dealt you about the concept of love, about relating with people. You must learn that and that's why I think there are 4 classifications of love, or 4 description of 4 kinds of love. Just to put it in context, they say there's the eros, there's the philia, there's the agape, there's the, what's the last one now? Storgio. Have you had to put a storgio, something like that, right? But the idea is that there are different expressions of love within different kinds of relationships, and if care is not taken, you can find yourself expressing one across all boards, across all boards. So it's important that you learn to narrow it, and if sometimes that would involve therapy. Sometimes that would involve giving yourself to, I mean, we don't talk a lot about therapy and counseling a lot in this part, but it's important because it helps you reorient your mind. Anyways, I mean, we can go on and on. I mean, I was so excited that a lot of people could find that video relatable.
And if you're watching this episode and you did not watch the last one, go back.
You should actually. You'll be glad you did. Yes. You'll be glad you did. Well, today's episode, Ife, want to talk about it?
Yeah. But before we move on to today's episode, I have a question for you.
Okay. Now, I don't know whether I'm safe now or no, but bring it on.
So I saw something and I said I should confirm that I have a friend that is married. So why would I be wondering when I can just ask you? So
speaking in tongues.
I heard or I saw that when you are in love, like when you are around someone that you really love, you feel sleepy around them. Is that true? Wait, let me put it the way I saw it. Did you know the more you love someone, the sleepier you feel around them?
So I'm to confirm whether or not this is cap.
Yes.
First of all, I'll just say that with time you know, time will
My.
tell.
Okay.
But
Okay.
no
No,
shots
no,
fired.
no,
I
no
mean,
worries.
I'm just saying
See,
now.
please, what I
obvious
said at the start
reality.
that I'm going to be calm in this episode, scratch that. It's
You are
on.
still wearing good hair
No,
now.
no,
Okay,
this
okay,
one
okay,
is,
okay.
is
I
on.
retract my statement. But well, I cannot confirm nor deny that statement because me, I used to sleep. But I'm married. I don't know if it's the fact that I love her that makes me sleep or it's sleep that's worrying me. So, but I think I might understand maybe from a scientific perspective where this might be coming from, because
Yeah, your safe
naturally,
space.
yes, when you're with someone you love, it's much more than just the feeling. Right, there is the secretion of hormones, and one of the hormone that is responsible for initiating sleep is melatonin, and usually a lot of hormones are that hormone is usually secreted when you are in a relaxed state, right? Just for example, if you are in a conducive place, if you are in a very cold environment and you don't like cold, you probably will not sleep properly. You'll be waking up, you will not be comfortable, right? If you are not used to hot weathers and you are in a hot place that is not comfortable, it's not ventilated, you probably will be sleepy, but you probably will not be able to sleep properly. So when you are in a relaxed environment, any environment that conditions you, to be relaxed, your nerves are calm, your body secretes melatonin. The moment your body secretes melatonin, you most likely will fall into sleep. So scientifically, it might have some truth in it, but I cannot confirm my experience because maybe I can't sleep. Sleep was worrying me, so I don't know whether I don't
All
know.
right, married people in the
but
comments.
maybe in the future I will have this. You don't get
It's
me
fine.
now.
Thank
I'm just
you.
saying, like,
Yes,
I'll
please,
ask you
please.
again.
Yes,
Maybe.
yes. This is evidence. When I start my own, nobody should say if he has come.
What did I do now?
No, it's cool.
Tell them what I did.
I know it's fine.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but we would bring it up again. Experience would have taught. Well, moving on to today's conversation, right?
Yes.
So I feel today's conversation is one that I believe is a necessity. It's necessary we talk about because not much has been said about it, but we see it having trace across society on a daily basis. We see people exhibit certain characters. For example, when you see people lash out, when you see people in fact, one of the major reasons why there's a high rate of suicide amongst men, why there's a high rate of depression amongst men is due to this, what we're about to discuss today. And what we're talking about is what we call, is a phenomenon called toxic masculinity. Now, somebody might be asking, that's big word. What is toxic masculinity? Well,
Yes.
basically, let me. I like to define it exactly the way it comes up. According to a dictionary definition that I found, I'll just read it verbatim and then I'll try to explain. This is what it says. Toxic masculinity is a cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism, or stoicism as you call it, strength, virality, and dominance, and that is socially maladaptive or harmful to mental health. Simply put, it's a concept that tries to, in layman's English, right, is the expectation that men ought to be a certain way to be termed as men. So masculinity is defined with all toxic traits. For example, if you are a man, you are expected to not cry. If you are a man, you are expected to not be needy of emotion, or to be emotional, or to be in touch with your emotions. As a man, you are expected, if you are going to be called a man, you should not have the tendency to break down. You should not be able to ask for help and all these things. All of those, there is this harmful and toxic ideology about what masculinity should be. Now, so the idea of toxic masculinity, many times, even though it's not said, like I said earlier, you see it as the reason why a lot of the things people do. You see it as the reason why people do a lot of things that they do. For example, as a man, I'm a man, right? Yeah, I'm a man. Just to put that, right? One of the things you notice, especially within growing up, I observed that one of the things that we were told over and over again is that as a man, you should not be crying. In fact, if you had anything, maybe you wanted something they didn't give you and you got emotional, you threw a tantrum and all that, you started crying. The first thing you hear is that, don't you know you're a man?
Yes.
Now, you see, the reason why talking about toxic masculinity can be a bit dicey is because we are now also in a generation where there is this subtle, emasculation of the male gender, so that the male gender is losing its masculinity.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that happened with what I believe was feminism rather. I always say it here, like I believe that I'm a feminist, but just the way feminism should be. There's the way feminism should be, which is the empowerment of the female gender. I just believe that that's what it should be. But what is now is not really what it should be, in my opinion. In the same vein, there was a far cry in the sense that every society was glorifying the idea of toxic masculinity. Men were not in touch with their emotions. Men had issues they could not tell anybody about, so they died early. That's why in a lot of generations past, you would notice that there were more grandmas than grandpas, because grandpa don't die. Why? He had to think about a lot of things. When he was broke, he couldn't share with his wife because it was seen as a sign of weakness. When he was having stress at work, he couldn't talk to anybody because everybody expected him to have his stuff together. Everybody expects you to be, well put together. So even when he wanted to cry out for help, society told him that's a sign of weakness.
Don't do
so
that.
You see, this trait is something that you would see, and now this is something that might come as a surprise. Usually people that become violent do so because they have tapped into toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Because I was going to cut in that where you are talking from the positive side, kind of like the emotions that they should be able to express, but they couldn't express because they are like men don't cry, blah blah blah. But there are some things that they do too that they are not supposed to do, but we excuse it just because he's a man.
Like,
for
cheating.
Example, like you see, thank you.
No, I'm not.
I was even going to say something else, but thank you for bringing that in.
You know that's like a normal. In fact, if you go on social
they'll say a man is not wired to be with one
we recently
man.
spoke about
one
like
woman
that.
rather.
Yes, I think it was Two-Face DBI that said something that a man is not biologically
like you can love one woman, but you can't be with
to be faithful sexually to one woman and all of that.
Yes.
So this is the thing.
And other than the cheating part, there's anger, like outburst of anger, unnecessary ones, and then people will be like, and then there's this expectation that they have that as a man you have to respect me. What I say goes, even if you are not my brother, you are not my father, you are not my husband. For example, we're in the workspace, we are both at the same level, but you still want to have authority over me just because of your gender. So those are also part of this.
Yes, it's the patriarchal nature of toxic masculinity. Everything stems from that whole patriarchy, the idea of patriarchy.
Yes, and there's a concept you have in our mind that this is how a man should be, this is how a man should act.
Somehow, society in the time past, has or had always viewed the male gender as a more glorious gender, or has always, what's the word now? I'm trying to look for the best word. Has always subtly, exalted them as demigods, and seen the female gender as a lesser. In fact, people will say they are weaker vessels. Clearly misinterpreting what that scripture, right? So the idea.
Clearly
noted.
Clearly,
but okay.
Focus on me.
It's not me that said it clearly. But yeah, I agree. Right, but usually the problem is this. So, like I said, if we trace it from history, you see that it started from the whole patriarchal nature, and this thing is not just African culture.
Yes, it's
even
global.
in fact, even in Bible days, some of the things that were said, the context to which it was said, the environment which
made
was
it
said,
seem as if women are just like supportive.
I mean, when the woman that was caught in adultery was caught, we heard nothing about the man. Probably was part of the people that carried stone and was stoning her, and just dress up. He just dress up and join and say, hey, and stuff. But it tells you the kind of society that is. You see Paul also write about stuff like that because of the uniqueness of that society. It was
that
era. It was the societal norm at the time. So over time, one of the problems that I believe I have with the whole feminist movement is that feminism came as a bid to fight the patriarchy, but in my opinion have taken it too far. In the sense that okay, you want to fight or disrupt what we call the patriarchy, where it looks like the men are the glorified gender and then the female is a
Supporting structure.
or even less something. In fact, in some climes, women are treated as persona non grata. I mean, there are some Islamic countries where they don't regard a woman. You are just good for
they are not thin, they are
you're
not
just
hurt.
good for the kitchen and all that. You cook, take care of the children, and that's all you should contribute to society. And just to digress a bit, I saw a documentary a while back. No, not a documentary now. It was an apologetic conversation. All of those kind of conversations that they have, the kind of Ravi Zacharias and all those things, Christian apologetics. And someone was asking or was accusing Jesus to be a misogynist or to be patriarchal, and the pastor that was speaking was defending and was showing how that Jesus was one of the strongest supporter of women empowerment. In fact, we see the likes of Priscilla, Aquila, Priscilla. We see the likes of a lot. In fact,
Martha.
Yes, in Jesus's circle, there were a lot of women that were empowered. In fact, the Bible tells us that wives of top government officials were part of his disciples. So you see that Jesus was not. He was countercultural. He moved against the tide of the norm of the day, because it was not normal that you would. In fact, we saw Jesus encounter the woman at the well. And the one that was a prostitute and had 5 husbands and all of that immediately became an evangelist in a matter of minutes. The Bible says she won Decapolis, that's 10 cities came just because of a conversation. That tells you that Jesus believes in women. I just had to put that out there in case for someone that was thinking. But we are talking about toxic masculinity, right? One of the major effects that toxic masculinity has upon a man is the misguided expression of emotions. Because over time there is regression, there's what we call suppression of emotions, emotional repression. So the men cannot show emotions, so they express for example, when you talk about people getting angry, breaking stuff, when a man gets angry and gets to the point where he can slap the wife, bring out his belt and flog the wife, it's, in his opinion, he's expressing emotions, but the wrong emotions, because he has not been taught that it's okay to express other emotions. The only emotion he knows to express exactly is anger. So he takes
because
that anger
that was
to the
celebrated.
Extreme. Exactly.
When he's hungry, they'll be like he's a man. He's trying to
being
express
manly.
he's being manly.
Instead
so
of teaching him that if things are not going the way it's okay to take a moment and just be by yourself.
Speaking of this anger thing, I remember a story that I saw on TikTok. So a lady was narrating the woes that she experienced in her last relationship. So she talked about how toxic the guy was. That he's a very calm guy, calm, cool, collected, very caring, takes care of her, to the extent that she had her own apartment. But because of how good the guy was, she left her own apartment, moved in. Nigerian, yes. Moved in with the guy and they started living together. But the only downside to this guy is that anytime he's angry, he breaks things. And then there's nothing that is like, she said, no matter how much she begs him, there's no begging, there's nothing she can do until he is ready to forgive her. So, and he now got to the stage where he started breaking things. We'll take her phone, smash it, even though I think she left before she left before it to progress that. So he would take her phone, break it. So the lady was like, she called the mom to explain that this is what is going on, if you can talk to him. And the mom was like, no, you endure. That's how he is. Yes, that even his dad, that anytime he's angry, you just have to beg, kneel down, and all of that. So she explained, she really went through a lot that I can't even start saying before she could break away from him. Like, it got to the stage where when he's angry, he will push her out of the house at midnight. And where they are is not a very safe environment. So what I'm just trying to say is that if the mother had addressed it when he was young,
Yes.
probably he would have gotten help. But the mom was like, that's the way his father is because the man.
So
just
they've
have
accepted
to endure.
as though this is
Yes,
the
just
norm.
pamper, just
And
beg.
let me just say this as maybe as an advice for a lady, for ladies, you're going through a relationship or a marriage and all that, and you observe certain traits. The truth is that what the mom could not correct in him, you probably will not be able to correct it, because the mom had more time. In fact, she had the formative years of the guy too, and she could not achieve it. She shares you that thing, you say I love you will help you correct it. I'm just saying people do change, but sometimes we should not use our lives to risk and to learn the hard lessons. But I would say this, in that kind of a case now, when someone already begins to exhibit traits of anger, uncontrollable anger, it tells you that there's a major problem. Everybody has anger, everybody gets angry. Everybody, when something is not going the way you want it, you can get angry. But how you express it shows what you have learned about boundaries. For example, I'm not happy about something does not warrant me raising my hand to hit somebody, right? That I'm not happy about something does, maybe the highest I can do is to talk to you about it. Worst case scenario, maybe even raise my voice if I'm very angry. But at least I know that nobody's being hurt. I'm not going to say something that is going to,
and even more than abuse. Raising, that's what I was about to say. Even more than raising your hands, the words you say at the heat of an argument.
So even though you're angry, it doesn't necessarily validate you saying certain things to people. So that's the simple truth. In fact, there are like 5 expressions that I've observed. I wrote it down. 5 major expressions that I observed from people that exhibit this trait of toxic masculinity. Number 1, I wrote emotional repression. Usually when people don't get to show emotions like sadness, fear, oftentimes they bottle up feelings. And when people bottle up feelings, there's something called imploding. So you are angry, you bottle it up. You are sad, you're depressed, you bottle it up just to show up. You're told that you're not allowed to, express what you're feeling. You're not allowed to ask for help. You're not even allowed to even tell someone that you are sad or depressed. So you just try to put it up together, and then we'll put up a mask of everything is all right. But then people now implode, and when people implode, it means that they explode on the inside. The person is already damaged. When they will eventually explode, there are no parameters holding them back. They would go all out, and you'll be shocked that, okay, what warranted this kind of response?
And it might just be a little thing that will now trigger it.
In fact, that's why you'll be saying, but this person is not like that too. He's a quiet person. But it's because the person has stored up a lot inside, and that now he has imploded. Another thing I wrote here is aggression and violence, like we talked about, which is anger. The tendency to solve problem through physical or verbal aggression. Usually when people have this kind of issues, they just believe that the best way to solve it, that to show you I'm a man. For example, if a man that has been taught to exhibit toxic masculinity all his life is having an argument with his wife, and let's say she's not seeing his perspective, he has not been taught emotional intelligence enough to find ways to convince her, other than either raising his voice, getting abusive verbally, or even hitting her, because he just believes that, okay, now I can show you that I'm a man. You have mouth, I have mouth, but you don't have strength that I have. So his idea of let me show you that I'm a man now is uppercuts, and then before everywhere has turned. And then number 3, I wrote here, I said dominance and control. That obsessive need to be in control. Have you met a very controlling person before?
No.
That wants to tell you everything that you should do?
No.
You will not meet in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I mean, usually it's because their feelings and their needs have been will I say snatched from them. So they feel like the only way they can respond to that situation is to also try to control everything, be in dominance. For them, that's the only way they are being manly. I also wrote sexual entitlement, right? A belief that men are entitled to sex and that women are objects for their pleasure. That's a subtle objectification of the female child. If you observe all of these traits, you notice that everything boils down to a mindset that tells them that as a man, there are certain things that is expected of you. And I will blame it, especially in an African context. I'm speaking within an African context. I know it's a general problem, but within the African context, I'll blame it on culture. I'll blame it on culture, honestly, because a lot of our culture is enshrined in the glorification of the male gender. There are
Yeah.
very few. I don't even know culturally, except when we are now evolved. But if you go by it culturally, almost every culture subjugates the female gender.
They
Right?
even celebrate a man more if he
A
has
man
a
child.
yeah, as his
Yes.
firstborn.
So
Like when you
imagine,
give birth.
you know, there was, so I saw something. I'm not, you can't, don't hold me to it, but I think I saw a video about it. There was an advert that MTN used to do before. It was a long time ago. You know, you're not Gen Z now, so you might know that
I'm
advert.
Gen Alpha.
Yeah, that's right. So, but in that advert, the woman had just given birth. So they called the man. He was away. I think he was away on work. And then hello, mama, na boy. Do you remember that advert?
yes,
Mama,
yes,
na
I
boy.
remember.
Then they started screaming in the village. Then everybody was celebrating.
Oh.
You know that they
There were
were
a
going
lot
to
of
sue
things
them
that
for
they
that
used
video.
to get away with, though.
They were going to sue them. I don't know if whether they were sued or they were going to be sued. I know I saw something that related to that because women rights organization or something like that came up to
Yes.
say that it's a sexist video, that it's a sexist advert, you know, that was glorifying the male gender and all. And you see, a lot of times we have absorbed that as norm. Thank God things are getting better. Also, I have to put a disclaimer because what I want to say is this. The disclaimer I want to put is that the struggle to fight against toxic masculinity, when overstretched, is what has birthed ideologies that are ungodly, like what we have now as feminism, that I don't believe in. So, because the female gender has been subjugated, like I said, there was need for the empowerment of the female gender. But rather than the empowerment of the female gender, what we now have was the emasculation of the male gender. So rather than elevate the female gender, you bring down the male gender. So now we are having a scarcity of real men.
Now everybody is toxic. Both
Exactly.
male and female.
Exactly. And now we have to start teaching men something that looks like toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Because now every boy wants to be a girl. Every boy is doing hand like this. Oh my God. I mean, if you see, in the West, it's very rampant. You can see a child that is 4 years old and is telling you that he believes he's gay. He has been brainwashed. He has been groomed to believe that, you know, your sexuality, you are the one to determine your sexuality and all that type of crap. And all of this started because there was a problem that they were trying to find solution for, but in the place of finding solution, the devil hijacked the process and brought them into full-on, you know, sodomy and all that.
Even the good part of what it means to be a man is being fought. For example, you are working with a man. I think we discussed this in one episode we did. That should be the last 2 episodes, bare minimum or doing too much.
Yeah.
So if you've not seen that, go and watch that one too. So we were talking about, like, if you are working with a lady, she should be on the other side of you.
Yeah.
So it's a normal thing. When you have opened the door, when a lady is coming, you open the door for her to step through. So I saw a video where the guy opened the door for the lady, and the lady is like, why are you doing that? Like, I have a right, I can open it myself, I have my hand. It's not that deep.
So you see,
just trying to help.
The truth of the matter is, when I try to consider the kind of decadence that exists in our generation today, I'm just tired, because what does it make sense to happen? Like me, everybody's clamoring for the man to be a gentleman. Okay, open the door for her and all that.
Yes.
But she has been taught to be, in her idea, in her mind, an independent woman. You should not depend on a man. You can do your things yourself. Okay, makes sense. But this person is just trying to be a gentleman to open the door. There's no point trying to. That does not in any way belittle you. And I always say this, that for a woman, you are most powerful when you embrace your femininity.
Yeah.
A woman's greatest power lies in her femininity. A man's greatest power lies in his masculinity.
Because that's his natural construct.
Exactly. The moment we begin to go against the normal construct, God's initial plan for mankind, Jesus speaking and said in the beginning was not so. Anything that goes against that is in the beginning was not so, usually is an aberration, and there are always consequences for those things. So if from the onset God created or God designed it that the man is a more physical being, it means naturally a man biologically is stronger than a woman, except in rare cases, but naturally, don't think it is the truth. Naturally, a man physically, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Physically, right?
In some cases.
Yeah, there are always exceptions, but
Yes.
naturally, if I bring 10 ladies and 10 guys, most likely
Depends on where you do your survey.
whatever. You try get my point,
Yes.
but that's the simple truth.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, men are stronger, so it would be unfair. Okay, that's the reason why we don't have men playing female sports,
Yes.
and that's what
That is
transgenderism
happening
brings.
now.
Yes,
They
because you
will
have
they will transition, play in female
Exactly.
sport, and then take all the medals.
take all the medals, and the same people that were saying, "Oh, allow them," now call it and say, "Okay, it's not fair." I mean, a man transitions to a woman and is now in the female bathroom, and you don't know whether or a man that believes he's a woman, identifies as a woman, as a she, now wants to enter a female bathroom. You can imagine the kind of the whole craziness that exists.
So absurd.
Is absurd. But yeah, moving on anyways. So basically my counsel to people, and I want to just say this, people might be watching and all that, it's very important that every now and again we introspect, we look at our lives, especially if you're a man watching and all that. You look at your life and look at the tendencies, look at the traits that you've exhibited or that you exhibit on a daily basis, and observe for anomalies. There are certain things that we do that we do not know that they are abnormal.
Yeah.
Because our environment tells us it's normal.
It's normal.
In fact, sometimes we are wired to expect certain things that are abnormal. But because society tells us this is normal, we for example, as a woman, I saw someone was saying that she can't be with a man who will not beat her or will not slap her. How will she know that he's a man? How will she know he's a man? You get. Now, before we do, you need to investigate where did she grow up?
Coming from. Yeah.
Who trained this one? What did she see when she was growing up? Maybe the person that was in a relationship that was not beating somebody, the relationship ended or the marriage ended abruptly, and the one that they were beating themselves, they stayed till old age. So in our mind, look at now. So before that it's wrong. Before we jump into conclusion and say, oh, this person, and lambast the person, first investigate where they are coming from. Then you now understand why they are saying what they are saying. Then before you can now prefer the original thing to them and tell them that this is actually how we ought to be. But toxic masculinity is a terrible cancer that exists in the world today. It's a terrible cancer that exists in the world today. I mean, and I was going to say something. Usually, events like this, or not even events, concepts like toxic masculinity and a whole lot of other things. I mean, there's something called stoicism. There are a lot of ideologies like this. They usually have ripple effects across families. For example, we see that when the man who ought to be the head of the family, has or is someone that is battling with toxic masculinity, identity issues and all that, doesn't know what an ideal man ought to be. It still boils down to identity, really. You have not been shown what a real man ought to be. When a person or when a man is designed in that way, he automatically will pass those same teachings, those same ideologies to his children. He will probably suppress the wife, probably instill in the female children a notion that damages them in public, in the society.
Make them feel inferior.
A lot of people went into society believing that if a man marries you, he's doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Have you seen things like that? Have you heard situations that where they were told that, it's not funny how that literally a woman is, in most cultures, is groomed for marriage.
Yes.
And nothing more.
From a young age, they'll tell her,
do this
in the kitchen, because
which is not bad.
Husband.
It's not bad. It's good that a woman is trained. It's good that everybody is trained. It's good that everybody is trained.
Trained to take care of yourself and any other person that comes. Yes.
It's good that you are trained to be hospitable. It's good that you are trained to be kind. It's good that you are trained to be industrious.
Yes.
It's good that you are trained to be a homekeeper. It's good that you are trained to, all of these things are good. But in the same vein, the training should not just be one-sided. Everybody should be trained. In fact, the boys should be trained as well.
And
boys
they shouldn't make it the center of the girl child's life.
Yes.
Like everything about her life is preparing for marriage. As if after marriage,
because
that is.
I don't know if you ever got something like this. Maybe you did something and then your mom will be like, is this how you want to do your husband's house?
Let's see.
This is the trait you have to carry to your mouth. And somehow it seems to get you back to your senses. Like, hey, it's true. I'm not being serious in my life.
Get me back to my own senses. So yes,
yeah, I've always been a rebel.
I will even stay in that thing even more, because I don't know, right from a young age I've always had this mindset, like marriage is not the totality of who I am or what I'm going to be about. So even then I used to fight about it a lot. Not fight, but even my mom, my sister-in-laws, because I have some weird habits. So when they are like, is this how you do in your husband's house? Yes, so you will accept me for who I am. Yes. That's love, baby.
Maybe one of these days we'll get into the details of it, because whilst I believe sometimes it can be overboard, I also believe that it has done a lot of good. Now, let me also say this as a disclaimer. Usually when we bring maybe correction to certain anomalies in ideologies that has been on for a while and all, it's not an attempt to superimpose on systems, structures, and ideologies that have helped us become who we are. Yes. For example, when we say, okay, do not beat a child, right, or flog it. We have seen cases where a parent beat the child, like say as though the child was a thief. As though they pick the child as a thief and say, I will deal with you today. Have you seen cases like that?
Yeah.
But we see that even whilst we're growing up, the system of knowing that there is consequences of action.
Yes.
And sometimes the consequence can mean that you will cry, they will flog you. Sometimes it instills some discipline in us. It instills some sense. Even Bible says it, that foolishness, it locks in the heart of a child, but there's something that can remove it, the rod of correction, right? So we see that some of these things, although they might be limited in their scope and they might not be totally applicable in the 21st century, some of those things are what made the previous generation and even other generations a bit more morally sound, a bit more socially responsible. When we talk about things like, okay, when a woman a lady should not be trained to say, okay, this is how you do in your husband's house, don't do this, and all that. Now we have people that are rebelling and say, you know what, I'm not just for my husband, I'll do it. But they are rebelling not because it's a bad thing altogether. They're rebelling because they want to be able to do what they want to do. And now we see people go on social media and do things that you're asking, don't this person have parents? Don't you have siblings? Have you seen people do stuff on social media and you're wondering that,
where did you come from?
Is there nobody watching what you are doing?
Yeah.
So usually it's because we have, in a bid to balance out some anomalies, totally thrown away the baby and the bathwater. Some of those things made us who we are.
For example, for the male child, it teaches them responsibility.
Yes.
Like you are responsible for your environment, the people around you. And for ladies, I think one of the things it teaches us is who we are as a lady, being conscious of the way you carry yourself, of the way you
teaches
talk.
You hospitality.
Yes.
You are taught how to entertain visitors. You are taught.
Yes.
In fact, I was trained in my house. When a visitor is around, you are expected to give them room. I know there might be argument as to whether it's good or not. I don't know about that.
No, it's good. But where elders are talking, is that what you're talking about?
Like
where
that,
you excuse
them and
because
all that.
I think it's good, because there are some conversations that are not good for, especially when you are not matured, when you are still of a younger age.
So it doesn't even poison your heart and spoil your perception about anything. So, but we see people actively talk against things like that now and say, oh, okay, you were taught to always leave the living room when your parents were talking. Why didn't you stay? All those kind of stuff. You were taught if there's a visitor in the house, you should be on your best behavior and all of that. Now, while those things, we might want to fault them, honestly, most of them had a lot of positive impact because we now knew how to behave. Someone might say, well, it's made us hypocrites. you are one thing when nobody's around, you are something else when there are visitors and all that. But regardless, there is a demeanor, there's a courage that is expected when you are not when you are with people should be able to say, oh, this is a proper child, this child has been taught how to how to handle and comport themselves. We're taught how to entertain guests. Valuable skills, not the one now that maybe guest has come, what's up, how you doing, and the child is still playing game and then there's a guest there. if I'm a guest and I come to that house, I will not feel welcome or honored. But if I come to a house and then the child is welcome and goes to call the parents, and probably the same child comes to serve me water or something, provided the child that is mature enough to do that, serve me water or something, I'll be like, oh, okay, thank you. I'll feel really, really welcome because it doesn't appear to me like I'm stressing them. If I go to the house and the child is saying, don't sit down there on my I'm playing PS5, please. I don't it just appear to me as though I shouldn't even be here. Why am I here in the first place? So I'm just trying to say that whilst we fault some of those things that were, and I rightly so, some of them were pushed overboard, they were overemphasized, right? We should also not throw the baby and the bathwater away, in my opinion.
I agree.
You agree?
Arguments, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Right. So as a matter of final notes, right? If you ever get to let's see, just create the scenario in your head. You ever get to meet someone that exhibits this trait of what would be your counsel for that kind of a person?
It depends. Wait, exhibit it as how? To me, or I just see the person doing it and the person comes to me for counsel?
Or you have the liberty to counsel the person because you observed something that the person has done. Maybe someone you're leading.
It would be, I'll just point out the mistakes, like what he's doing, the traits, the toxic parts, like you don't do this, you don't do that, and just advise the person.
See, person now vex. I want to now beat you.
Oh, my.
What's going on there?
Oh, my.
What's going on there? So tell me, is it Masculinity?
Sponge.
Okay.
But that's not even possible.
yeah, but that's just on the light.
Yeah.
But I just hope, I don't know if you guys have learned a thing or two. It's important that we begin to spotlight a lot of these things because they happen on a daily basis in society. We see people being victims of this. We see people being on the receiving end, families.
Yes, that's even the bad part or the hard part of it. It's not really about the person. It's also about the person doing, but it's not really about them.
It's on the receiving end.
The ripple effect on those on the ripple on the receiving end, how they will take it, what will happen to them later on. So, for example, I am being toxic to you, you will internalize it, also use it to act to another person. So it's just like spreading. And
let me say this, even with cases of when someone becomes, when you've heard stories of people that either become serial killers or become psychopaths that do terrible things in society, rape children, all those kind of things. Usually when you trace it back, it's usually traced to a traumatic experience, or in most cases, maybe not all, but in most cases traced to a traumatic experience. Maybe that same person as a child was also abused, or something terrible had happened to that child too, and then he's now a broken person breaking other people. So it's usually like a chain reaction. So one evil leads to another evil, and it becomes a vicious circle, and then it looks as though the world is getting more evil as we get along. So this is our cue to just, if this is something that you observe in your life, really we need to put a lot of word out for people to find it convenient with things like therapy, with things like counseling, guidance, and all of that.
And not just anyhow therapy, certified therapist, not just by the roadside.
If you do therapy now. Okay, sorry. It's on that fair. Sorry.
Yes, I'm a relationship coach.
How many years experience do you have?
10 years experience.
Stop it. Get some help.
In the game or outside of the game?
In the game. Outside of the game, if I want to add everything, that would be like 15 years. Damn! So just come to me, whatever you are going through. Don't worry. 15 years.
You started counseling at what age?
Don't let us talk about that. Just accept what I said. So whatever you are going through, come to my DM. Let's talk.
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
But money is very important.
Oh my God! Wow!
You have to have money first before you slide into my
At this point, I rest my case. I mean,
$50,000 per hour.
You could forget if put the camera here.
I assure you, at the end of every section,
thank you.
You will be cured.
Cured. That is
Whatever
psychiatry.
is ailing you.
I mean, it's been an amazing conversation already so far. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, probably based on what we've shared, you have a number of questions you'd like to ask, feel free to
And
put
if
it
you
in
are
the
in a
comment section.
situation with someone that is toxic, please
Feel free
excuse
to reach
yourself.
out. Feel
Yes.
free to reach out, get counsel and all of that. And if you like to, drop a comment, share your perspective or maybe an experience you've had,
yes.
feel free to do so in the comment section. And now let me say this: if you're here to subscribe to this YouTube channel, you are missing out on too much. And after subscribing, you have two more things that I want you to do. Number two, click on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we have new content up. And then the final thing I want you to do is to go back and watch our other episodes. I mean, we have amazing content. In fact, the beautiful part, the most fantastic part for me are the heartwarming messages, the feedbacks we get, when people write and share their experiences and how some of the things that are said here have brought light and clarity to them. It melts my heart anytime, any day. So that's your cue, to binge watch as much as possible. Don't worry, it's free. You can binge watch as much as possible, and I can guarantee that you'll be glad you did. My name remains Nakale, and of course I'm joined by the amazing Ife.
And also, if you like to partner with us, you can reach out to the number on your screen also in the description box. Also, for brand placement, whatever it is that you do and you like us to spotlight it on our show, you can also reach out to the number on the screen.
That one is very important. You have a product, you have a service, you have something that you like to showcase to the world, you like to get into some form of partnership with us. You reach out to us, we're going to consider it, and if it's good, we are definitely going to have it on the show. Just the little we can do, to just give back to society.
And also remember, I said I'm a relationship coach, so he is a matchmaker. He's a matchmaker.
Like Miami. We should start our own matchmaking.
Yes.
Let me take you as a project now.
No, please. Okay, I'm just processing this. Oh my God.
No.
Next episode, I'm bringing my boo. Enough of this shot from you. I am bringing...
Well, on this note, we'll call it a wrap. I'll see you guys on the next episode. If he has promised to bring a boo, you don't want to miss the next episode. So catch you guys on the next episode with Labubu and Labubu.
Oh! Nice one. Bye, guys.
4-0 this show. I feel fulfilled.